All right, what we're going to be doing, this card is absolutely stunning. I love the color combination on this. What we were going to be doing is we're going to be using the designer series paper from Thoughtful Journeys. Now your DSP may look slightly different than mine, but most of them will have the image at least of a purple in there that we can highlight. And you'll notice that we have a Blackberry Bliss edge around. That's 1/8 of an inch larger than the DSP. We're going to be using some of the butterflies, and we're going to be creating this card. So let's get started on that. Okay, what we want to do is we are going to start with the piece of cardstock that goes in the center. So this piece of cardstock right here is what we're going to be starting with. Now what we want to do is, because I want to make sure that my stamped image is going to be in the correct place, I'm actually going to be gluing down the designer series paper and the mat first. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that I can offset the image and the sentiment correctly. So I'm going to glue that. And I'm going to have it so that there's a top, bottom, and left on the white on the edge, just a little bit. So there we can see a little bit around the edge there. What I want to do is I'm going to stamp the butterfly in Memento Black. And we're going to stamp him up there in the top right corner. So let's ink him up. Okay, and he is going to pretend to be flying off the page. So we got him like that. Now I want to put a sentiment here, leaving an area in the center where I can do another butterfly. Before I do the sentiment, let's grab a scrap piece of paper and stamp a couple of more butterflies so we can dye them out. Because I got the ink going and the paper is here, let's just stamp a bunch of butterflies. What we will do is we will take our die, and when you set the die around it, make sure that you're not cutting any portion off. Place it on with a little post-it note, and let's die cut these guys right out. I die cut a whole bunch of the extra butterflies out, and what I can do is just pop these in a container, and I will use them later. Now I only really need one, so I'm going to place him off to the side. I have him set up, so I'm going to kind of have him kind of flying off on this direction on dimensionals, so I know I'm going to have a sentiment down there. Okay, what I want to do is I'm going to stamp a sentiment. You can find one that sits nicely in that area, and we'll just pop that on there. Okay, this is coming together really nicely. I think it's going to be absolutely fabulous. What I want to do next is actually color these butterflies. And what I want to do is I'm going to look for the colors that are in the designer series paper. I'm going to get some purples, and I'm going to try and pick up this yellow here. This looks like a crushed curry, and I'm going to color my butterflies with that. So let's get our Stampin' Blends and start coloring. Before I start coloring my butterflies, what I'm going to do is just double check the colors that I am choosing. So I have a Blackberry Bliss. This is a dark Blackberry Bliss. That's going to be good for some of the highlight areas. And I'm going to choose something a little lighter. It's a little different color. And that is Bubble Bath. It's not bad. I think it's going to work. I can use some highlights on that. I'm going to see this is the Crushed Curry. And I'm going to try a different yellow, see how that picks up. So let's take a look. So this one is, I believe, Daffodil Delight. I think the Crushed Curry may look a little nicer, so I'm going to go with those three colors, right? Always do a check on a scrap piece of paper before you get started. Let's get coloring. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to use my dark color, and I'm going to go in the areas that I think are going to look really nice for a dark part on the butterfly. Okay, before it gets dry, I'm going to come in with another color and kind of blend that in. All right. I don't want any harsh lines, so I'm just going to blend that in. That's looking pretty good. I think I might want a little bit of a darker image on here. And less of a pink. So just going to keep kind of going back and forth, find the colors that you like. Now I want to bring in some of that yellow, and I'm going to choose some areas on the butterfly that I think would have some yellow. You'll barely see it, but it will be enough to pop up on the butterfly underneath. Okay, and I'm going to do that for both of these butterflies. So the same thing. I might make one a little darker than the other. It is totally up to you. There we go. We have our two butterflies. We can always add some Wink of Stella onto them. Okay. What I want to do is I'm actually going to add some dimensionals to the back of this one butterfly. And I'm going to have him kind of flying off in the opposite direction, kind of going past the sentiment and kind of onto the DSP. All right, we have that. And now we can assemble the card all together. So let's put the mat on. And I am going to put this on. That looks really, really nice. And let's add a couple of embellishments. And I'm going with the Blackberry Bliss because it will pick up for the Blackberry Bliss that's in here and in the mat. Okay, and there we go. There's that card. Super simple, absolutely stunning. I am just loving that. I love that flower and the color of that butterflies.